Okay, welcome everyone to the Dyosa Channel. I'm Ea, and then our guest for today is very special, Maria Mison. We're gonna talk more about her work, which is integrated awakening, and I am so interested to hear about it, and also for all of you, our online community, to hear about it. I've met Maria before the pandemic, and when we were doing Daloy movement or movement, creative movement, dancing in the moment, and how that for me facilitated a lot of self-discovery and self-understanding, and a closeness to the body, and also a feeling of community within a space or in a dance studio, and we're all sharing energies. And I've also been a fan of Maria's work because syempre pandemic, we're all seeing one another online and mostly online lang. And I love, Maria, how you've been so generous with, the knowledge that you have and your curiosity, and especially in sharing about intuitive practices and sharing about shamanic healing, shamanic work, or tarot, or journeying. And yeah, so can you, before we begin, like, how are you today? How are you arriving? And also, can you tell us a little bit more about how you got into all of this work, the integrated awakening?
How I'm arriving, I actually feel very warm. But I noticed na I always feel this way when I'm with you. Like, malakas yung fire sign energy mo. Even when you do dalaw, it always track. But when you chat with me, I'm like, whoa, or like, ganun. So I feel very warm. So
You're
I
also
feel very,
very fire. You're also very fire. You're also
I
very
don't really
warm.
know. It's the Aries. So it's like, but it's rare for me. Paano ba? I feel like a lot of healer archetypes tend to be water. So
Mhm.
nakaka-relieve lang na have someone who's like me na is more warm coded. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How I got started, you mean like in an initiatory process, or you mean doing healing work for others? Which one? Or
I would say both. Kahit
oh,
briefly, initiatory, and then, facilitating healing for others. And then, yeah, what is integrated awakening?
right. Sa akin kasi nung 2016, I actually have an episode that recounts this like super detailed kasi maraming nangyari.
Mm,
So
mm,
2016, I had a lot of spontaneous Kundalini awakenings. Like I could hear the voices of other people, like their actual thoughts, like my subtitles nung actual truth nila. Tapos
mm,
they're lying to me, parang ganon. Tapos sobrang trippy niya, tapos to think I was in college, so parang it was very like intense. I could see the
yeah.
auras of trees. Tapos I had dreams months long, and it was just one day here. Tapos parang I was journeying to like Gaia, or
Yeah,
like my spirit family, my
yeah.
husbands in different lives. So talagang parang yung initiatory
Feel
process ko was,
lifted.
yeah, talagang ano siya, sunod-sunod. So wala akong choice but to like catch up, and I studied a lot just to understand myself. So I feel like other people kasi they read it to heal themselves, to fix
Yeah,
themselves. I'm like, no, like crazy shit's happening to me. I
yeah,
need to figure this out. Ganon.
yeah.
Tapos, I feel like some of my lives na medyo malakas is I had like a Chinese shamanic life. And
Mm,
then I have Filipino indigenous na yung babaylan energy, ganyan. Pero, um, so parang even when I was into like reading, so some people, kasi I know I'm contrasting a lot, but the thing is, some people, they're usually doing it for health. Ako
mm,
kasi when I would read these Chinese Mantak Chia, inner Taoist healing, ganyan. I really delved into diagnosis, into
mm,
like elemental biases, tapos how it manifests into wind, into illnesses. Talagang, tas nag-PCM pa ako. So it's very like, I was very drawn to the witch doctor, shaman
mm,
archetype, and
mm,
shaman as artist, shaman as part of society, shaman as priestess. Parang it's
mm.
very shaman as doing everything, but it's also one thing, so okay
Yeah.
lang, parang ganun. So I feel like I was just really drawn to that, and I just lived that. So
Mm,
parang even me being an artist, all my healing work is also in my writing work, is also in my stories, it's also in my
mm,
games, it's also in my drawings. Parang
mm.
hindi siya basag-basag for
Separate.
me. It's very
Yeah.
much, yeah, it's very much just me living that truth na parang everything is one anyway, or everything has a core pulse that's going through it.
Yeah.
And I focused on teaching more when, kasi syempre, when stuff is very weird and new, uh I had like two soulmates na talagang parang like sisters slash wives, parang ganon, who really needed me to
Mm.
explain what was going on with them because they were having like a lot of like weird dreams, ganyan. Tapos I was pushed to talk about it. So I was pushed to talk about it. And then when I saw the impact on their lives, being able to trust their intuition,
Yeah.
hearts that magic, talk to their guides, parang I was like, dang, I should share this. Parang
Yeah.
ganon. And then
Yeah.
tuloy na after that, na parang I was like, okay, I need to do this. So it was very um natural na I started attract those kinds of people. Parang parang if someone's going through like Saturn return or initiatory
Yeah.
something, biglang nakikilala nila ako. Then I was like,
Yeah.
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah.
let's go. So parang
Yeah.
ganon. Yeah, and then I
Mhm.
focused on integrated awakenings kasi I actually have a strong Neptune energy. So it's very like long dreams. Mabilis ako mag-astral project, mabilis ako mag-disassociate basically.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's really a commitment and a decision for me to be here. Like there were dreams na parang ano, uuwi ka, hindi ka uwi. Or
Wow.
kukunin ka na namin or hindi, parang ganun. Parang so it's very like me to, and there were parts of my soul that's very much not used to being human. So at like
Mm.
1/3, 2/3,
Yeah.
ganyan. So parang for me to choose to be here and me to talk about how to be here is because it's also a decision of mine. Parang
Yeah.
ganun. Na
Yeah.
the slowest magic, the material, corporal magic, the tactile,
Yeah.
boring, slow
Yeah.
waves of everyday life. That's literally like what a lot of divine beings want. Because it's not the, it's just the hardest, but I feel like it's also, alam mo yung kapag you like something, lalasapin mo. So
Mm.
parang,
You'll savor it. You'll really
yeah,
milk that experience. The
yeah,
beauty
yeah.
and the terror, everything, the big moments
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
small
So
moments.
I feel like when you touch eternity kasi tapos everything's instant and whole and perfect all the time, parang hindi mo na appreciate yung retraction, parang ganun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why I feel a
Yeah.
lot of, yeah, I feel like a lot of my work is about integration. It's about, okay, so you touch that, what now?
Yeah. Yeah. How do you
What now?
approach it? How
how do
do
you
you
deal with your mom? How do you deal with
you're
your
trying to
job?
punish your bills or your debt? Parang ganun.
Yeah,
With as much
yeah,
enlightenment as possible that is expressed
yeah,
in the pragmatic, practical, mundane.
yeah. Na
Yeah.
hindi lang siya experience, it becomes an actual transformation revelation that actually influences how
Yeah.
you move on
Yeah.
earth. So hindi, so ayokong parang ano lang siya, parang entertainment, woo,
Yeah.
vision, entertainment.
Yeah, or like
Parang
a
ganun.
vacation that you go to escape, how horrible your life is, and
Yes,
parang
yes.
I think maybe I'm only understanding it now. Parang
Mm,
this is one of the things that make me attracted to your work because of that word integration. Um,
right, right.
I've also seen how other people, both practitioners, healers, or have said that, oh, I've had my awakening like over and over, or one time, big time. But there could also be an addiction to realms, that are different from this.
Yeah.
That,
To the
that
feeling of expansion or to
yes,
trans,
yes,
parang addict sa backflip and we're
yeah,
about walking. Yeah,
yeah,
diba?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, which is so important. Like, parang
Mm.
na-realize ko rin how we are here because we're meant to be here. Like, our souls
Yeah,
chose to be here. And
yeah,
parang,
yeah. Yeah.
um, so integration is really, really, really important. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm also interested in your work because I see that, when you said that everything, parang there's a tahe, there's a weaving through. You don't see them all as separate. Your writing, your art making, your healing practice, your healing work, both for you or for others, ganyan.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really, really love that. Saying that there's a core, centering. that is I mean parang that is there, like a life force and all of there, ganyan.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
at-
also feel like it's, but when you're, I do this, so one of my services that I usually do is Soul's Gold, which is like what you look like in true nature. Tapos parang acting from there means that creation becomes more pure, fluid, easy, but also more honest, more
mm,
vulnerable, more authentic. So
mm,
sometimes grittier because minsan it's slower because you're like, oh my god, it's so
yeah,
scary for me to be real. And
yeah,
I think that when you're living from that place, all those varied aspects tends to weave together because it's coming from your wholeness rather than you're trying to reach out and be, oh, look at me, I'm an artist or something.
yeah,
Parang yun, it's like emergent from who you are. Like it's emergent from your life's expression. So
yeah.
wala siyang
Separation.
contrivance in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, wala siyang, kaya hindi rin siya, hindi naman sa hindi siya naaaral. There is a discipline of surrender and like working on the tanning hide of your own soul. Pero your soul is already perfect or like it's already intelligent and wise. So
Yeah.
may ganun, it's paradoxically like complete and incomplete. Parang ganun.
Mm-hmm.
So yun yung thing ko about, like, I feel a lot of people want to be able to do a lot of things, but it's a lot of things that are approved of by society
Mm-hmm.
rather than where you want it to come from. Parang ganun. And
Mm-hmm.
ironically, when you come from your truest self, yung inner genius mo is like sublime and
Shine. Yeah.
yeah, incomprehensible. Like never be able to replicate ng ibang
Yeah.
tao or ibang context. Like it's so unique. Parang ganun. I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of Eastern traditions kasi, or traditional traditions, traditional traditions, very like their idea of the superior man or like the sage. Isa lang. They're doing one thing. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like these traditions evolve though. As much as I like Chinese medicine, every time I tap to my Chinese guides, they're always like, "Oh, but it's changing. It's changing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the context in which your being is
Yeah.
changing now.
Yeah.
Like all of your bodies are like weird because
And
food
the
is
modern
weird.
life is so complex. Our relationships are
Ah,
complex, you
yeah,
know.
kasi it's tech, diba? Spiritual tech and like philosophy is like evolutionary as well. It's not static. So
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of what we're moving towards also has what Mark Gaffney calls personal enlightenment, in a sense na
Mm.
the face of God through you is unique. Like
Mm.
hindi siya
Interesting
parang
to you. Yeah.
open confusion eating superior man, that's me. It's like no,
Yeah.
it's literally
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
emergent and paano ba? Hindi naman sa never before seen, but yung gifts mo is so specific to where you are and
Yeah.
who you're with,
Yeah.
blah, blah. So
Yeah.
parang yun
Yeah.
siya. Yun.
Yeah, and I love what you said, na hindi siya static. Like I really believe that everything is meant to move and evolve and change.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
integration is so key. You know, like I would say, for example, even though I've been making dances for many years, you would
yeah,
still
yeah.
after like a big high or a hit or whatever, and you come home and then you rest, and then at some point, the very beautiful question of okay, what's next is both beautiful and terrifying. And parang I see a parallel between that and even in I don't know, spiritual work or spirituality. Like there para siyang nagsacycle din siya of whoa, this is such a big wave, or we'll integrate it. It's a beautiful way to integrate it. And it's like, I'm very human. Where am I? Yung
Uh,
parang ganun.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, ano, tawag din, and this is also one of the reasons why it's becoming more and more apparent to me, the function of healers, the function of those who are going to hold space for you, yung parang ganyan, those whom you could talk to, kasi nga, ano eh, tawag dun, no matter whatever level of enlightenment or awakening, parang you'll still cycle through, you know, parang ganyan. And and these kinds of conversations are important. I love what you said kanina before, you know, we entered this Zoom, how you wanted your work or most of the spiritual work is, I know, you need to be a monk, or you need to be out there, yung
Yeah.
parang,
You need
you
to
need to
be
be
in an
separate from,
ashram, you need to be
yes, yeah. Can
separate
you
from
explain
society.
more about that?
Yeah, like we talked about tech, diba, of like spiritual disciplines. So yung tech before of like monks being separate or even priests being separate, that was specific to their time.
Yeah,
Ngayon, it's kind of hard to really do. Like, not everybody can afford to have a 2 year
yeah,
sabbatical or to
yeah,
go to Tibet and
yeah,
like have an initiatory experience with a yogi or something.
yeah.
Like they're at home, they're cooking dishes, they have kids, they're parents, and
Mm,
some of the folks I've worked with, ang lakas ng lineage nila, and yet they're living a family life, and they say that a prayer from a householder is more powerful, right? So there's that
mm,
almost like this, for me, almost like a challenge of like, especially with tantrics now. Oh, okay, if this samsara is so
mm,
challenging or we
mm.
make things divine, can you stay in it and still be awake?
Yeah,
Parang
can you stay in it and still be awake?
yeah, yeah, like you can be of the earth, walk on the earth but not be of it. Very
Yeah,
Buddhic
yeah,
eme.
yeah.
Pero it's also just paano ba? Um it's it's almost like when they say na si Buddha gusto niyang pumuntang hell kasi kung pupunta siyang heaven, sino tutulungan niya? Parang ganun. Think about it. Like if you're a real bhakti ba, ba't ka nasa wait, sorry. if you're if you're a real butch, ba? Tapos nandun ka lang sa ashram where everybody's like listening to you. But how's that really like, mahirap ba yun? Parang ganun. Parang, asan yung, hindi man sa you need to be challenged, but where you needed, in a
Yeah,
way. So
yeah.
parang, I really like a lot of practitioners, teachers na can speak very plainly and
Mm,
can engage with actually worldly topics like politics,
mm,
like history, like
mm,
trauma, or even just Western medical perspectives
mm,
without a rejection or like a
mm.
allergy na, oh my God, I'm a holy person, hindi siya part
Yeah,
ng
yeah,
dialogue.
yeah,
And no, like hindi ba, those
yeah,
are souls too. That's life too. So how is that separate? And
yeah.
I feel like it's also like sa model ni Ken Wilber. I don't know if I said this in the Zoom na. When we go up dimensions or levels of consciousness, we tend to reject the previous one. And then to
Mm,
go up, right? Reject so that you push up. But when you fully like integrated this into your body, everything else lower is like also included na. Wala nang rejection. So I
yeah.
feel like a lot of people who leave society for a bit, may konting nasa rejection phase pa lang sila. They're like shooting out like a rocket.
Mm,
Pero once like kind of that state of like oneness is kind of like normal na.
yeah,
Everything else below that, okay na. Wala na siyang allergy. Wala na siyang parang,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
do not want to talk about blah, 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 ganyan, ganyan. Ano
yeah,
na siya? It's actually just as holy na rin. And
yeah,
I feel like that's what I'm interested in because I feel like at least for the clients I get or like the folks who engage with me, ayaw nilang mag-reject eh.
mm,
They love their boyfriend.
yeah,
They love their boyfriend. So it's like, so how can you, so there's that embracing of that complexity, which is I know a little bit harder to do versus the
yeah,
tech ng before na okay, lahat ng sinful or distracting, let's just drop it.
yeah.
So
Because
I know
there's
that
much
this is
less
more
distractions
waga.
before.
Yeah, yeah.
In their
So
modern
even what
times,
I'm
it's
positing,
even
yeah, even yeah. So what I'm positing might be more practical or accessible, but at the same time,
yeah,
it's also harder,
yeah,
diba? Kasi kung hindi
yeah,
ka
yeah,
nag-engage
yeah,
fully, so
yeah. Like I would say, for me, like why it's harder is because it's going to ask you to be really present. Yun nga, like stay so awake, while not leaving. And really be in your body, be in the now, and really like face everything also that's ugly, and how to hold, how to integrate all the mushy, cloudy, and even, I don't know, high vibrational things in the trip, and
mhm.
and I mean, how to
Yeah,
sustain that. while you're living in your
Like,
reality.
I feel like another like nuance to this is that so sa Chinese system kasi Dantian, the lower house, the stomach is also the house of power and will. Tapos 'di ba sabi nga nila um Mandela ba yun, na love without power is anemic. So
Mm,
there's a lot of like sige high vibrational all love, but if you don't actually make into a structure, into a process what love actually
mm,
looks like, kung
mm,
walang justice,
yeah.
hindi siya physical. Hindi siya bababa, right? And the thing is, all practices that go up also go down as yun nga yung whole process ng integration. It's and then right? So it's also the hard work of translating na, sige, you want to preach compassion or you want to preach like deep, safe spaces. How do you actually make that into processes that people actually understand, people can actually check and balance, people can actually measure? Parang where's the gritty physical, tactile, pwede kong lagyan ng empirical test on
Yeah,
na okay, this is working or like we
yeah,
can we can actually bank on this. So parang feeling ko yun yung it's so hard kasi hindi man hard, how do I say this? This can be so poetic kasi na the labor of
mm,
going down can sometimes feel painful. Kasi
yeah,
parang, oh my God, I'm explaining it. Or, oh my God, I need to itemize it. Or, oh my God, I need to have like steps. Parang
yeah,
ganun. But the thing is, if you do want to welcome more people, or if you do want to make it the new standard or the new world, that is the labor you have to do. Hindi
yeah,
siya, um, um, ironically, it's not that complicated. Parang ganun. Parang hindi siya, yes, you're creating new tech, but at the same time, you're just making it tactile.
yeah,
So, parang ganun. See, I find it funny when people are like, ah, this is a safe space, or let's presence this. Tapos hindi sila present. Or yung mga typical language of safe spaces, such as not assuming what someone is saying. So, for example, when you say na, oh, because other people are like this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm assuming because you guys are blah, blah, blah. So, stuff like that is kind of a little bit unsafe because you're assuming where someone's at. So, even if you say safe space to start, and then you have language that's like that, ibig sabihin, hindi mo pa na-integrate what that fucking means.
yeah,
Diba?
yeah,
So the thing is, so when you have something like that, like safety, being able to say na, okay, not assuming what someone is saying, or having a check-in, or having a hard lines of yes and no, parang ganun, those will help ground things
yeah,
into a tangible
yeah. There,
action.
I'm now feeling how you're not only super fire, but you're also super earth.
Pwede naman, sakto lang. It's
I
by decision.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ano, tawag dun, I want to ask about
hmm.
you're one of the healers that I know that are based in the Philippines that have such an open and balanced throat chakra. And I see that
Afro?
manifest. Yeah, I see that
Okay.
manifest in your writing. I like to read your writing. And at the same time,
Mhm.
how, yeah, you talk in your videos and in your podcasts. Um,
Mhm.
can you talk to us more about that? Like if there are, anyone who's listening or watching this interview right now, and let's say they've had their spiritual awakening or they're healing for others or whatever, but like one of the blockages is around the throat or around communicating, because that's also, very fire and very earth, especially if after you've had so many feelings and so many things, the act of being able to materialize it into words and ideas that could flow through like out there and be received by other people. Like, how did you get there? Have you always been like that? Or also, was it something that you had to hone more, like in a pragmatic sense? Or
Right.
did any of the spiritual work helped it? Or like, was there like a turning point in the spiritual work that you've been doing that it like,
Right.
yung parang ganyan?
Wait lang, yeah, yung
Yeah.
voice. So throat stuff. Okay. So nung 2016, 'di ba I had like energetic activations and stuff. So I had like a heart chakra opening na talagang parang electric. And then I think a few weeks later, I had a throat one. Like, I couldn't talk. Like, I
Wow.
couldn't talk. Yeah, yeah. At tapos parang nakakaiyak siya na silence.
Wow.
And it happened twice pa. It
Wow.
happened twice pa. So, I really feel like kasi our energetic bodies, it's just like puberty, your body goes through changes, ganyan. So even the crown several times, diba, gaganyan siya, tas gaganon siya, tas is just gonna do the thing. As bababa yan later.
Yeah.
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 Diba? So the thing is, um, for me, what happened, I actually have a deep loyalty to truth. Like I was writing Satnam before I even knew that Satnam meant I am truth.
Mm.
So as na-feel ko lang na I was like drawing, I was like, Satnam, wala lang, it just sounds nice. And I was like, oh shit, it means truth. Parang ganun. So talagang ang lalim nung a part of my soul is really Akashic and really married to the truth of the world. So actually, so yung aspects ko is very malakas yung Akashic ko, tas I have like a one small like human heart energy, kaya hindi siya yung strongest ko. So a
Mm.
lot of healers, yeah, so a lot of healers, diba, it's very like center with your heart, move from the place of your heart palace. Actually, mas mahirap yun sa akin. I
Mm.
can actually say na I genuinely have a harder time doing that kasi kung muscle imbalances man siya, this is strong. Like even in human design, closed ako dito. Like it's confident. It knows. And then everything else, like yung heart ko is like an insecure Leo. So it's
Wow.
very like it's a concave and it needs other people. Whereas eto parang hindi, I just know. I just know. Parang
Yeah.
ganon. So I feel like part of it is just my soul blueprint. That's
Mm.
one. So meaning na someone like my brother has a really strong hara. So his will is just so walang makakatibag kind of thing. So I feel like may ganun akong sense of loyalty with truth na it's like, no, when I know. like you cannot, like I will get dreams of you telling me it's lying to me. Parang ganun.
Yeah.
So may ganun siyang kind of, but the thing is, I'm also conscious of balancing it with the heart because I feel like the heart's still the center, the heart's still the most powerful bridge. So it's actually very conscious for me to kind of collapse it down and try to let the heart speak.
Mm.
Because heart mingled with truth is iba rin yung talas niya, iba yung resonance niya, iba yung yakap niya, iba yung truth niya. So it's very, I actually feel like are they distinct? I don't know. Kasi feeling ko may mga truths na hindi super heart-centered but is still true. Parang ganun. Like it's just the reality of the universe, parang ganun. And you can speak from there. So for example, Ido Portal or Krishnamurti, very strong mental energies, very like they will penetrate lies into your like what is that lie in your existence? As kulang ng heart. Like you feel like, oh fuck, mali ako. May
Yeah.
ganun.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
fuck,
So even though
why are
it
you
meant well, it didn't turn out well.
hindi siya, it's not as accessible. So
Yeah.
sa 4 legs of yoga, if malakas yung mental clarity mo, you can go all the way, but not everybody has that mental
Mm.
muscle or not everybody likes that mental nutrient. Parang hindi sila kasing
Yeah.
receptive.
Yeah.
I've had people, kasi malakas nga affinity ko for it. I've had people say na, gosh, ayoko maging bobo. Parang ganun.
Mm.
Or, wow, I know na you feel so when I tell them na I always feel comforted by books kasi the wisdom helps me grow. Eh, if they lived all of their lives in school na being not good with books is like a way to torture them or they just don't like words,
Mm.
it becomes antagonistic force, di ba?
Mm.
So, anyway, I know that's like a lot of prefacing, pero kasi I know that you were saying how to speak from it. So, um, I feel like kasi it's, when I try to speak, I try to think of that as well kasi na
Yeah.
some people will not feel comforted by the mental truth. Diba? Swords from tarot. Some
Yeah.
people will not like it. Some people will not be adept at it.
Yeah.
And even what truth you're speaking to has to be talagang keyed into the audience or to the person you're trying to help. or
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um so I feel like for me, kunyari with the creative work and stuff, I usually journey to like the energy of the group or the energy of the creation I'm trying to make. So like if I'm writing, like what am I trying to really do here? Or what is this writing trying to achieve? Parang ganun. So kunyari,
Even right.
yeah. So even when I write games and stuff. So for example, I'm gonna write a game about grieving mother who recently died. Tapos, kasi we had like a pandemic game. So a mother who recently died goes through the stages of grief before she goes to heaven. Parang ganun. So it's really like, so I feel like that game for me was like feminine rectification. Like walang mga feminine heroines in games. There's no highly emotional games, so I wanted to write something that was very um that was for her. So
Yeah.
I end up writing it for her. I didn't make her. She already exists. She's in the firmament, she's in the
Yeah.
collective. And then I walk her through the thing. And then so when I write the thing, it's a collaboration. Parang
Mm.
yes, I did the words, I did the effort, pero I also
Also
praise how it
channeling,
worked.
it's also co-creating, yeah, with
Yeah,
that spirit.
yeah. Yeah, and I feel like I've multiple times I've always written I surrender my voice to the highest good or to that which
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So talagang may times na I want to say something tapos parang nabubulol ako, nakagat yung labi ko or mamamatay yung Zoom
Really?
or yeah, no, legit. Like, ganun ko na siya na surrender na, if you think I shouldn't say it, just stop me. Like, I gave them full license to, which is slightly frustrating sometimes kasi minsan may gusto akong mangyari. Eh,
Oo.
since sinurrender ko na it's always highest good, um, they could also do the kill switch if,
Yeah,
like, kung
yeah.
yung ego ko ayaw.
Yeah, they're like, no, shut up, take a walk. Yung mga ganun, or make tea.
Or parang
Leave it. Ganun.
feeling mo sila yung audience mo pero actually hindi. Parang ganun. So, kasi my Aries is like always a pioneer. Yung Gemini ko is always networking.
Yeah,
So, even if it would be more comfortable for me to talk to people who I've already talked to, my Aries will always drag me to, no, you need to talk to new people. You need to talk to people who don't talk about spirituality. You need to talk to people
yeah.
who don't
Yeah,
think about
expand your network. You know, have different kinds of
yeah,
conversations.
yeah, and then the rooms I'd be in, I forced it. The energy would be kind of parang
What do
it's
you
kind
mean
of like
forced it? Forced to make
parang,
conversation? Forced to connect?
parang
Ganun?
hindi naman. Parang it's almost like on an energy level, parang dapat hindi ako nandito. Parang gano'n.
Okay.
Almost like parang bad sex na parang pinilit ko lang.
Yeah, yeah,
I kind of wanted it and then I made it happen. But it's kind of like, parang lang, parang ganun. Versus menu, kunyari menu ko sa restaurant and you're like, oh sige, surrender my will. Anong gusto na lang? What does my body really want to eat? I'm like, that? Really? Tacos? Really? Tapos pagkainin ko, oh shit, ang sarap. So there's that, like, a little bit of a, it's really like, I feel like it's really a process of surrendering to like a greater flow
yeah,
para you're in the right room, right places with the right words. So for me, it's a lot of groups na laging ako yung bago or laging ako yung different. And I just need to like muster up the will to like say what I have to say because they don't have the experiences I've had. So parang may ganun siyang so naturally na lang lalabas sa akin because of the context. But I also
yeah,
surrendered where I was gonna speak kasi. So
yeah,
there's the whole,
yeah,
parang,
yeah,
yeah, they move you away from it.
yeah,
Um, but I think there's like one more thing. I feel like there's also a, I feel like also adapting another's voice is also very helpful. So for example, sa Sword Prince games, Sword Prince ako. So it's very mas cocky, a little bit ruder. Um, Tapos in some readings, I adapt the energy of the guide. So, you know how like some channels they say, I didn't write this, the guide wrote this. Marami akong ganun. So I feel like
Mm.
even if it still has a bit of my voice, like the jokes, the run-on sentences, um, I don't know, I like collaborating. My moon and Gemini likes, yay, okay, new energy, ganun. So
Yeah.
parang I feel like yung potency ng ibang work ko is because I also invited energies that wants to speak through me, and then I'll just like, okay, let's have tea, whatever, or like ano yan, anong keme mo, so parang news interviewer ako na
Yeah.
we're both on screen and then I'm helping them talk but at the same time I'm talking, so okay lang, yeah.
Yeah. Wow,
Mm.
that is
That's work.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I have one last curious question.
yeah.
What are your ambitions? What are your dreams? Um,
Mm-hmm.
what are you dreaming? Yeah, I'm just curious about that. And at the same time, tell us how we can reach you. Of course, I'll put all of your links in the comments, in the description below for our audience to find you. But yeah, what are your services? How can we find you and all?
Actually yung dream ko is, or actually plan, I like the word plan kasi my dreams tend to be super space. Yeah, I mean my actual sleeping dreams. Pero um I really want like a playhouse or like a kingdom of games, or like just things that are very accessible and entertaining that accidentally heal you.
Yeah,
Oh, ganun. Yung
yeah,
subconsciously hindi mo alam, oh, I'm being, I'm like, but it's also fun. It's like parang you went to the circus slash you went to the kindergarten playhouse.
yeah,
So I really believe kasi that games and play is like the fastest way to learn. And if something is fun and mastering the body and energy, soul, ganyan, that it is wisdom. So
yeah,
if you make wisdom learning fun, edi matupid na siya, right? Even with all the trauma and all the hardship. I feel like I really think that healing shouldn't be boring, or hindi man boring. It doesn't have to be dull, or it
yeah.
can be creative, it can be fun, it could be cheeky, it could be gago, parang ganon.
Mhm.
So I like it na it's games kasi I want, or I use the metaphor of games kasi I want it to be more tactile slash accessible slash kahit wala ako, right?
Mhm.
So it's like,
People can
yeah, so
engage with it the way they would, the way they want to. Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of like when you get a book and the author's dead na and the book is still working on you. Because
yeah,
you're still in the world, and then the fan artists made all of that cool stuff. It's still moving. Parang
yeah,
yun. So I really like that idea of parang Horcruxes na parang, oh, my soul's in all of these things or in these environments, and it's
yeah,
just doing that. I like that. I feel like all of my pursuits kind of like make different toys of that. I also told a friend of mine, parang akong Uniqlo, parang lifewear. Like instead of like I'm dressed like a magician or I'm dressed like a fairy, it's like, oh, here's a shirt. Like here's just like
yeah.
white shirt. Like that will work for you, or is, kaya mong i-remix sa buhay mo, but it's still magic. Or
Yeah.
it could actually still protect you. You could still use. Parang ganun. So parang lifewear, housewear na playhouse.
Mm,
Yeah, so I'm trying to, yeah, so all my metaphors are like forcing me to ground talaga. And I feel like um I'm working to teaching also, so I'm trying to get let and art therapy facilitation. So
what
I
is
really do
lead? Lead?
let it's licensing for teaching. Like I can actually teach in a public school or in a private school.
Yeah, okay.
Because I actually do want to engage with, because I always say games as pedagogy. Tapos
Yeah,
malakas rin yung teacher archetype ko. So I'm always like, okay, let's look at the curriculum and
yeah,
then make it play-based. Tapos
yeah,
can you put shamanic stories and some of like the
yeah,
core principles? After
yeah,
that, tapos na. Diba? After that, like high impact, low effort. Hindi man low effort, per high impact, per kahit wala ka, it's running.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
like
yeah.
what I kind of like what
Wow,
I
that's a
really,
really beautiful
fun
plan.
ba? Fun,
Mm,
diba? Pero I also just really like kids as an Aries. It's like, oh, okay, like, insane, insane young energies. So, yeah, so dreams plus services. So my services, so I have a Patreon and like a itch account for all my games. Um, a lot of them are shamanic, and a lot of them need tarot cards. And you could use Dixit cards if you literally want to use board game stuff.
Mm.
So ano siya, very accessible in a way. Kasi
Do you need
and
other
then
people to play it with, or you can be
a lot
alone?
of a lot of them are solo games, but
Oh,
a lot of them can be partnered in. Yeah.
okay.
Forgets ko rin na sometimes if you're not a gamer, it's like, what? so, but that's the whole thing. It's like exploring, diba?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and then I do the regular like one-on-one sessions. So I do body work or yung soul's gold, so like what your soul blueprint is like, or just an open session. So anything from
yeah,
ancestor work to dream interpretation, I tend to be good at
yeah.
that, or like clearing spaces, ganyan. Pero I'm also gearing up for like a mentorship. So I've had mentorship containers before. So
Mm,
basically, just walk through like a lot of techniques together.
mm,
So,
yeah,
pero hindi ko pa yun na-schedule. So,
yeah. Mentorship
so
is
it,
like someone will work with you and then parang series siya.
six
Like
to
it's
eight,
not just a
8
one-off.
weeks. Yeah, it's 6 to 8 weeks. Tapos, it's more techniques based. So if we're gonna have a tarot reading, instead of me just reading, I'm teaching you how to read. Parang ganun.
Oh, okay.
Or instead of me just channeling spirit guides, no, I'm showing you how to tap into the spirit
Yeah,
guides, like how to how to talk to land spirit or your house
yeah.
spirit. Parang ganun. So some people, kasi I'm a nerd, so I feel like more people go to me for like learn.
Information. Yeah,
Yeah. Some people would take several sessions for me, but it's more of learning a certain technique. Parang ganun. So if
yeah,
you're
yeah,
very curious about,
yeah.
so I do a lot of dream work. In yung yung talking to dream guides tapos spontaneous yung astral projection check ganon. Kaya ko siya. That's the thing. Yun yung thing that's funny with me kasi I can do a lot of new age shit pero they want me somewhere else. So it's like so it's more of like you have to find me, and then if you find me and then you want to do it, it's like okay, but it's like hindi siya yung front ko, parang
Yeah,
ganon.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And then some people, while just talking to me, nabubuksan na nila. So I
yeah,
always say that also as a teacher, that everything I talk about is accessible to you as long as you're willing.
yeah,
I
yeah,
will
yeah,
show up. Yeah, I will show up in like your consciousness slash dreams as long as you want to. Parang ganun.
yeah,
Pero, and then I will not ask for, I mean, yung exchange natin on an energy level na siya. Hindi na siya like money, but if physical you want a container of like, no, I want to understand like on a conscious level what the fuck's happening. Yun yung okay, let's schedule a Zoom.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah. Wow, thank you
You
so
have
much,
patience kasi.
Maria.
So, yeah.
Mm-mm. Grabe,
So,
thank you
it's
so
different.
much.
Yeah.
At saka yung mentorship session na yun, so when you talk on the first session, the person could say, I want to learn specifically tarot from you, or I want to
Yeah,
learn
yeah.
specifically dream work
They'll
from
be like, oh, I want to do divine feminine masculine work.
you. Yeah,
And I'm also concerned with like ancestor work kasi family ko yung issue ko. Like that.
yeah, yeah. So parang yun yung magiging focus ng 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
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 but I also do like a big group. Like I just post and then it's like a more, yeah, a more hindi man less focused, but it's more of like a like the group attracts certain kind of people who are focused on a certain
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
And later on, emerge na lang na they have similar themes. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Wow,
Which
so
I
beautiful.
want to do, but I need to placado my schedule. I need to. Yeah. Ang hirap kaya, naman with like healers and stuff, it's hard to market yourself if you don't have like a strong marketing gene. But yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it is. It is parang it's a full-time hack and role
Yeah.
on its own, the whole marketing thing. Um,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I'm so happy that we did this, and I'm really feeling called to also have a session with you, and also meet tayo pag nasa Manila ako for some
Yeah.
time exam.
No problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so
We'll do
much.
that.
Enjoy the rest of
Thank
your
you.
day, Maria. To everyone who tuned in, you can
Bye.
watch
And
this
bye
again.
also to Yeah, bye also to Ate's subscribers slash also mine who like tuned in.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.